Today in the Small Interview Project, I'll be talking to Gillian Yeend from Yeend and Associates, who are family lawyers based in Gungahlin.
How are you today?
Hi, how are you, Tony?
I'm good. Look, thanks for doing the Small Interview Project with me. Gillian Yeend and Associates, family lawyers. I can have a bit of a stab at what you do, but tell us about your business.
Our firm's a specialist family law firm in Gungahlin
Right.
and Canberra City. So we deal with clients going through family law problems in both negotiated and litigated contexts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you get into family law?
Well, I've always practiced in family law. So when I was at university, I worked for a family law firm in Newcastle.
Right.
And subsequently, I've worked in specialist family law firms since that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, a very specialised field. Which
It is.
Okay, let me get into my questions for you. So tell me, why did you go into business?
Well, after a period of maternity leave, I went back to working for a practice that I was working for and realised that I needed a bit more flexibility in terms of my work-life balance
Right.
and managing parenting responsibilities and practice. So I decided to open a practice, and also out here in Gungahlin there weren't any specialist firms operating at the time, so I saw a bit of a niche in the market.
Okay. And what's the main difference between sort of working in a practice as an employee and running your own business, apart from the obvious of running your own business?
Yeah, look, I guess the biggest challenge is this is a relatively small practice, so
Right.
I'm the main fee earner, so there's always that challenge between focusing on being the fee earner and
Yep.
focusing on working on your business and
Sure.
all of the things that are entailed with respect to that.
Okay, I'll question you on some of those things
Sure.
very soon. But if you had your time over again, what would you do differently?
I think I'd be a bit more flexible about my business plan. So certainly in opening a practice, you have a vision for what you want your business to be and what you want your practice to look like. In relation to this business, it's certainly grown, I think, at a faster rate than I had anticipated, which is
Sure.
obviously good.
Yep.
But it's meant that I've had to be a bit more flexible about what I had intended for the practice in the timeframes that I dedicated to them. So looking back, I'd probably be a little bit less fixed in terms of how I saw my business growing over time. And that affects things like space of commercial premises, staffing choices and so forth.
Yeah. And do you have obviously you said you had a business plan, which is good. Because
Yes.
a lot of people don't.
Yep.
What's the bigger picture plan for you?
Certainly, I'm not intending for this practice to be the biggest practice in Canberra.
Sure.
It's my business plan is to keep it as a boutique and specialised practice
Right.
in family law, and to keep it at a reasonable size so that I can continue to manage parenting commitments, lifestyle, and the practice.
All the reasons to run the business for in the
That's
first
right.
place. Yeah.
So, in terms of my business plan, it's to grow the business and improve, I guess, the practice that we have, the policies that we have, the exposure that we have in the local area,
Yeah.
and to keep doing a good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to be a challenge, based on the growth in Gungahlin.
Yes.
This is one of the fastest growing, I think, areas in Australia. I think.
Yes, yep.
So organically, the business is going to sort of continue to grow and grow and grow. So how are you going to sort of judge that tipping point between expanding your business too big, where you don't want it to go, versus catering for the needs of the market?
I guess and this comes back to the flexibility issue, it's probably about having the right supports in place.
Yeah.
When we open the practice, you always want to be a bit cautious about, what you commit to, and not to be too overly ambitious about it. But certainly, I think the growth in this area has meant that there's been a growth in the need for this kind of service. And so I think I've had to restructure my business plan to take into account things like having to get in more administrative support to assist with the business practices
Right.
and the business element of this practice, and also having a look at what kind of staff will be needed to grow the actual practice side of the practice
Right.
in terms of legal work.
Oh, that's good. You mentioned before one of your challenges being the fact that you are the main fee earner and trying to juggle all that,
Yep.
that whole balancing. Is that your number one challenge, or would there be other challenges that you face in the business?
I think for a practice this size, it's always going to be the number one challenge.
How do you deal
Obviously,
with that?
well, it's all about planning.
Yeah.
So I'm big on having a diary. If you ask me what's happening, unless the diary's in front of me, I'm probably
Yeah, no, yeah.
useless at being able to identify that. But so I try to be very structured about the way that I manage that. So I dedicate particular tasks each day of the week. I think it's really important to give yourself dedicated time to work on your business as well as what you're doing in your business.
Sure.
So that's the way that I try and work it.
Cool.
I can't say it's completely perfect in any way, shape or form, but it's working as best as it can. So it's a work in progress.
That's a perfect segue. So my next question is, how do you balance working on versus in your business? I guess you've just answered that. You actually do diaritise time for that. Is that your main strategy, or are you one of those people who spend hours at night time working on your business?
Probably a bit of both. Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to work on your business now, and I think with the growth of the internet and social media and all of those things, it adds different levels of things that you have to do to work on your business and improve its visibility. So in saying that, sometimes those things can be done outside of work hours, which is good. Sure. But again, I just try and ensure that I know on this day of the week, that's the day of the week that I dedicate to doing X in my business, and I try as best as I can to ensure that I do that.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
That sounds good. It's good to see someone who's got a focus or a structure around that sort of process.
Try to. As I said, it's not perfect, but I think, they always say, you've got to try and plan these things. So having a plan is the first step.
Intentionality is good.
Yes, that's
get the right intentions. And my last question for you, Gillian, is if you were to give advice to somebody starting up business again today, what would you say to them, whether it's be in the law field or in any business?
I think being flexible is really important. It doesn't matter how much you plan for things, to have people come in to put in phone systems or, get your stationery printed and all of those things. There's potentially always going to be some hurdle before those things happen. So you've just got to be flexible about your own timeframes and understand that things don't always work out the way that you might envisage them to. And I also think you've also got to look at being open to new possibilities. So certainly in my practice, my next referrer may be, someone who knows the cleaners of the practice or someone who knows the florist or someone who's had some kind of interaction with the firm. So it's important to be open and friendly and look at all opportunities as growth for your business.
Excellent. Great advice. I've got one more question for you. Can't go away that easy.
Okay.
You've mentioned business plans a couple of times.
Yes.
And which is very exciting for me because a lot of businesses I see don't have a plan.
Yep.
So it sounds like you actually had your plan and you constantly go back and refer to it. Tell me how you use your business plan as a tool to help you in your business.
Look, I do refer to it. One of the things in terms of my business plan this time is that I had previously had a practice with another solicitor in Canberra a number of years ago, and so opening this practice, I wasn't kind of recreating the wheel. I knew some of the things that I needed to do. So basically, I did formalise a plan. I thought that was really important. And basically, I go back and revisit it in terms of things like budget, staffing issues, am I meeting X targets in terms of opening files and so forth. And basically I just try and revisit that, at least once a week to kind of see if I'm keeping on track. I can't say it's the most comprehensive business plan, but it's certainly something to work with. Yeah,
that's good. Okay, excellent. That's what I tried in there. All right, look, thanks very much for taking part in the Small Interview project, and good luck with everything for the growth of the business.
Thanks.